argan oil that has anti-inflammatory and antibacterial benefits. MediHerb Saffron Soap with saffron and almond oil, which are vitamin-enriched with antioxidant properties. Trust in MediHerb Ayurvedic Herbal Soap with 18 herbs and natural oils to take care and revitalize your skin every day.
For many, home is just a place to sleep, a rented room, a leaking roof, a borrowed space that never truly feels like theirs. Martha has always worked hard, always saved what she could. But what if her savings could do more? ZNBS is making home ownership possible. A small loan built on group savings, giving families like Martha's a chance to own something real. With the Timange housing loan, Martha's savings turn into bricks, her dream into a foundation. Join a village banking group today and let ZNBS's Timange housing loan help you own your home. Timange, your savings, your home.
Good evening and welcome to the Diamond News Desk at 8. We bring you stories that are making headlines on our DiamondTVZambia.com website. You can follow us on Diamond TV Online on Facebook and Diamond TV Zambia on X. Do stay tuned for the headlines. Leading stories on the news desk this evening. Mambwe man brutally murdered and buried in shallow grave. SA government hopes Concourt ruling paves way for Lungu's burial in Zambia. And later on, ACC arrests former health PS ZAMSA staff over corruption. Do stay tuned for the details. Always happy you can join us on the news desk. My name is Tapongoma with the details. A 68-year-old man has been brutally murdered and buried in a shallow grave in Msoro Chiefdom in Mambwe district. The victim, Henry Nkoma, was discovered on the morning of August 26, 2025, after children grazing cattle stumbled upon a human leg protruding from the earth near Mtetezi stream. Eastern Province Commanding Officer Robertson Mwemba has told Diamond News that Mr. Nkoma had been missing since August 20th after last being seen having supper at his young brother Stephen Zulu's house. He says despite an extensive search, he did not return home. His body was later found in a bent position inside what police described as a hastily dug shallow grave.
For 6 distressing days, the family of Henry Nkoma held on to hope. The 68-year-old man from Asieni Akambe Farm was last seen alive on the evening of August 20, 2025 after sharing a meal with his young brother. He left to return to his own house, a journey he had made countless times before. But this time, he never arrived. His family's world shrunk to a desperate search in the path of the Chief Msolo's area for any sign of their missing elder. That hope was shattered on the 26th of August 2025 in the most terrifying way imaginable. Not by police, not by search parties, but by children heading cattle near Mtetezi stream. His young brother, Stephen Zulu, confirms this to Diamond News.
Venzonkaraba famu so pachitatu pa 20 vanachokapo ndito mwachijairizi anapitokwina uko kuti akachezeko so chokapoka pachitatu vanaoneke futi nawapeza mai after tambo konka mamene tenzo konka venzotuza ati vanapita pano vanaenda so vanakambati vaenda kwamake Juma palipo vanotafunsa dava vanaenda kwamake Juma but pochoka kwamake Juma kusina vana futi kubwerera sorumba kwakuti tikonke kunatisowa parasomba tenzambofunafuna chabe so vana votsvakira ng'ombe vanapedza powindiliwa chabe chintu so tinatuma ripoti kupolisi oneonena kuti polisi kufunafuna mbiti kuti vatitandize.
Chief Tennessee Msolo and the civic leader in the area are sad with this death.
It's a very disturbing report because this is not the first time that we are receiving reports of that nature. And I think this is very disturbing. And one of the things that I would encourage people in our community is not to build a wall of silence around such occurrences. Because
Eastern Province Police Commanding Officer Robertson Mwemba says police are investigating the murder case.
We are on the ground. We ensure that those people who did harm to that innocent soul are brought to book.
For the family of Henry Nkoma, the search for answers has only just begun. All they want is justice to prevail. Samuel Sylvester Kwawe, Diamond News, Eastern Zambia.
The South African government says it hopes the Constitutional Court's refusal to hear an appeal by former President Edgar Lungu's family against the repatriation of his body will allow Mr. Lungu to be buried in Zambia. Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald Lamola, says his government is optimistic that the Zambian government and the Lungu family will agree on burial arrangements, noting that South Africa has always encouraged dialogue. Mr. Lungu died on June 5th, 2025, but his burial site remains unresolved. On August 26th, family spokesperson Makebi Zulu confirmed that the government had approached the family for negotiations. Secretary to the Cabinet Patrick Kangwa, leading the government's team, said Zambia intends to accord the late president a dignified send-off befitting a former head of state.
The Zambian government and the Lungu family are yet to finalize talks regarding the burial site of former President Edgar Lungu, who died in South Africa on June 5, 2025. A win-win solution is still being sought following the South African Constitutional Court's decision to decline hearing a direct appeal by the Lungu family opposing the repatriation order to Zambia. The South African government has since weighed in on the matter. South Africa's Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald Lamola, told journalists today, August 27, 2025, that his government is optimistic the Zambian government and the Lungu family will reach an agreement on the burial agreements.
And we are hopeful that this ruling can signal some finality, that he will be buried back in Zambia, in his home, and that the Zambian government and the family of former President Lungu will find each other on the procession.
Earlier in the day, Lungu family spokesperson Makebi Zulu appeared on Diamond TV's breakfast show and discussed the ongoing negotiations with the Zambian government.
I'm sure as they engage, they will be stating what exactly is in the offing and what exactly has to be done in this particular process.
Mr. Lungu died on June 5, 2025 in South Africa, and 3 months later, he has not yet been buried due to the impasse between his family and the Zambian government. Darius John, Diamond News.
The Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, has arrested former Acting Health Ministry Permanent Secretary Dr. Siva Kachimba, 3 ZAMSA staff and 2 company directors in connection with irregularities in the medical supply chain. Those arrested include Jafet Piri, Procurement Specialist, Sipo Banda, Senior Procurement Officer, and Chanda Napanje, Senior Procurement Officer, all ZAMSA employees. Also arrested are Godfrey Kabengele, Director of Mukushi Business Ventures, and Kankomba Kakompe, Director of Lumumba Pharmaceuticals. DEC Director General Nathan Banda has confirmed the arrests, bringing the total number of individuals charged in the case to 10, including 4 arrested earlier this year. He says law enforcement is working to conclude investigations swiftly to pave the way for policy reforms and stronger oversight in the medical supply chain. Meanwhile, ACC Director General Daphne Chabu Soko clarified that no evidence has been found in claims that stolen medicines were being sold by pharmacists.
The forensic report carried out by Water Price Coopers, a private firm on Zambia's health sector, specifically on the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency ZAMSA, has continued to make headlines 2 months after it was handed over to the government. The Drug Enforcement Commission, working with the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Zambia Police, have made fresh arrests, with the latest being former Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Siva Kachimba, 2 directors of private companies and 3 employees of ZAMSA.
The arrests, therefore, bring the total number of individuals charged and arrested in this matter to 10. Now, colleagues, it's the intention of law enforcement agencies to bring this investigation to a close so that policy directions are revisited to guide the medical supply services to avoid recurrence of what the nation has had to go through over the past, perhaps years, perhaps months.
With regards to allegations made by the U.S. ambassador to Zambia that 90% of pharmacists in Zambia are selling stolen medicines from ZAMSA, ACC says none such cases have been uncovered during their investigations.
We were able to establish that, in fact, there was no conflict of interest because the board member, who we confirmed was a board member, actually never dealt with ZAMSA. That was number one. The other thing we were able to establish is that Monica Banda, who's mentioned, Monica Banda, I gave you the name, is actually a fictitious person, if you like. She's never worked for ZAMSA. She never worked for that. So the conflict there was rather misplaced. Regarding the supply of medicine, no, we haven't been able to establish what medicines were stolen from ZAMSA. No.
A particular pharmaceutical company gets a particular medicine supply, and then they have, maybe it says from India, a generic drug. It has a batch number. Then maybe a government entity also gets the same medicine from India. It has the same batch number. Meaning you find this medicine here legally ordered from somewhere else with this batch number. Then this other medicine here also legally ordered. Now, to now differentiate the two, which one has stolen from the other. I'm just giving an example. That's what I'm saying. What we need to do now as a country is to work out measures that will curtail these crimes fully by way of maybe the use of modern technology as one of the possibilities.
However, stakeholders have maintained the call for government to make public the document in order for stakeholders to scrutinize the document and make their own independent verifications. Pedis Chota for Diamond News.
About 60 former employees of DES Export Zambia Limited are demanding unpaid salaries and leave benefits for the period between April and June this year. The workers say the Mumbwa-based mining firm has failed to honor a labor ruling and want the Ministry of Labor to issue a decisive ruling to end the dispute, which has left many in financial distress. According to the ministry, the case remains under review. Principal Public Relations Officer Mwaka Ndawa said it falls within the ministry's 30-day resolution period.
A group of nearly 60 former employees of DES Export Zambia Limited, a mining firm previously operating in Mumbwa, have made an urgent appeal to the Minister of Labour and Social Services seeking swift intervention over unresolved salary arrears and unpaid leave benefits spanning April to June of this year. The affected workers, comprising lab technicians, miners, maintenance crews and machine operators, say they've been left in a state of uncertainty since the company contested a prior labour ruling. With no resolution in sight, they are calling on the minister to step in and issue a conclusive decision to break the deadlock.
We have resorted not to go anywhere but be able to sleep here at the labor until our issue is resolved. So we are appealing to everybody, including the president, that this is how we are suffering as former desk employees, workers.
However, despite their concerns, the Ministry of Labour and Social Services has stated that the matter remains under active review. Principal Public Relations Officer Mwaka Ndawa confirmed that the case is still within the ministry's mandated 30-day review period and will be addressed accordingly.
The minister is expected to determine the matter within 30 days upon receipt of the said appeal. The matter is still within the stipulated time frame, so we would like to urge the employees to remain calm. They will be informed about the outcome of the appeal once it's determined by the Honourable Minister.
At least 10 of the affected workers have travelled from Mumbwa to Lusaka, representing their fellow employees, many of whom dedicated over a year of service to the company before it abruptly breached the contract.
And for sure,
can we survive when we don't have an income? There is no communication as to what is happening. All we are told is wait. Sometimes we're not even attended to. It's not fair. Government should really look. Life has really been hard for all of us. We don't have an income, we've got no money, we haven't been paid for over 5 months, and I've been sleeping at Intercity for 3 days now. I don't have money to go back home to Mumbwa. Their appeal highlights the growing frustration and economic strain faced by former desk staff who continue to wait for justice and financial clarity in the wake of their company's breach. Elfie Mwale Shampande, Diamond News.
Thank you, Elfie, for that report. What we're getting into now is the weather and thereafter the Diamond Insight. After the break, we come back with business stories on the news desk, and after that break, we're back with more stories on the news desk making headlines. Do stay tuned for this and much more.
This is your Diamond Insight on safeguarding Zambia's medical supply chain. The latest arrests involving senior officials from the Ministry of Health, ZAMSA, and directors of private companies over alleged irregularities in the medical supply chain have once again drawn attention to a sector that remains highly vulnerable. While it is important to stress that those arrested are innocent until proven guilty, the broader issues raised by this development cannot be ignored. The supply of medicines and medical equipment is at the heart of Zambia's health system. Any disruption or malpractice within this chain directly affects millions of citizens who rely on hospitals and clinics for essential treatment. When procurement processes are compromised, the consequences are not just financial, they are measured in lives lost or prolonged suffering for patients denied timely access to vital drugs. Law enforcement agencies, including the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, and the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, must therefore be commended for pursuing accountability in this critical sector. At the same time, it is clear that lasting solutions cannot come from arrests alone. Zambia needs a transparent, corruption-resistant supply chain underpinned by robust systems, strong oversight, and clear accountability mechanisms. Key reforms should include stricter procurement guidelines, digital tracking of medical supplies from purchase to distribution, and regular independent audits. Greater collaboration between oversight bodies and the Ministry of Health is also necessary to ensure loopholes are closed before they can be exploited. Importantly, a culture of ethical responsibility must be nurtured among public officials and private contractors alike. The integrity of the medical supply chain is not just an administrative matter, it is a moral and national imperative. Citizens must have confidence that resources meant to save lives are managed with care, honesty, and professionalism. The current investigations provide an opportunity to strengthen systems, restore public trust, and reaffirm a collective commitment to clean governance in healthcare. As the legal process takes its course, we must remember that justice demands patience and impartiality. What matters most is ensuring that Zambia's health sector is shielded from corruption and positioned to deliver the reliable, life-saving services that every citizen deserves.
Business News is brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Hello there, it's time for the Business News update, and this is what you'd expect from the Business News tonight. Zambia's tax to GDP ratio outpaces Africa, according to the Zambia Revenue Authority, and curio vendors bemoan declining business due to low Vic Falls season. So much coming up as well. We focus on the money markets. We see how the kwacha is performing against the United States dollar. We have some construction news coming up, as well as the construction commodity items. We look at the non-food items and the food items as well from the commodity prices, and we get to wrap it up with some mining news. All this and so much more coming up after this. Now, the Zambia Revenue Authority Commissioner General Dingani Banda has disclosed that Zambia's tax to GDP ratio has averaged 18.3% over the past 5 years, surpassing the continental average of 15%. Speaking as he officiated at the event, Mr. Banda says the performance underscores the need for reforms that promote voluntary compliance, including the upcoming Cooperative Compliance Initiative. He has emphasized that building a technological, efficient, data-driven tax system is critical to the success of such reforms. Mr. Banda further explained that the new operating model introduced in 2024 positions the Zambia Revenue Authority as a regional leader in compliance programs, reflecting a commitment to fostering collaborative systems, rather than adversarial relationships with taxpayers. Meanwhile, International Tax Investment Center, the president there, Daniel Witt, stressed the importance of moving from a confrontational approach to a partnership model, particularly for multinational companies. He says taxpayers are looking for a stable, transparent, and predictable tax regime, adding that there is now greater alignment between what tax administrations and taxpayers want.
The Zambia Revenue Authority, in partnership with the International Tax and Investment Center, has hosted a cooperative compliance conference in Lusaka focused on implementing trust-based initiatives to improve trade facilitation and tax compliance. The initiative, which leans more on inland taxes, is in line with the World Customs Organization standards and is built on trust between the tax authority and taxpayers. Officiating the event, ZRA Commissioner General Dingani Banda has revealed that Zambia's tax to GDP ratio has averaged 18.3% over the past 5 years, higher than the continental average of 15%.
Africa continues to grapple with weak tax systems, with a continental tax to GDP ratio averaging at around 15%. We do take note that Zambia's tax to GDP ratio has averaged at about 18.3% over the last 5 years. Sustainably increasing this ratio calls for, among others, implementing reforms that encourage voluntary compliance, such as the Cooperative Compliance Initiative. As Zambia Revenue Authority, we have included in our corporate strategic plan the need for us to implement the Cooperative Compliance Program. we understand through lessons from others and also through our experience on the trade facilitation front that successful deployment of cooperative compliance for domestic taxes requires building a tax system that is technologically efficient and data-driven.
And International Tax and Investment Center President Daniel Witt has added that taxpayers want a stable, transparent and predictable tax regime, and that Zambia's shift reflects a shared interest between tax administrators and taxpayers.
Invest in human capacity. And number 3, digitalize your tax and customs administrations. As I said, taxpayers have changed. I think we're now waiting for the second part of that, for tax administrations to change. I think the 5 countries gathered here today have woken up to that. That's why we're here together for 3 days. How can we move to more of a partnership approach rather than the aggressive cops and robbers type approach? Most taxpayers, especially the multinational companies who have eyes on them from their home authorities, the share markets, the international business press.
The ZRA has emphasized that developing a technologically efficient and data-driven tax system is essential for the success of these reforms, adding that the new operating model introduced in 2024 positions the country as a leader in compliance programs. Rachel Mumba for Diamond News.
In more business news, curio traders in Livingston District, Southern Province, have lamented a sharp decline in business, which they attribute to the low season of the Victoria Falls. The traders say with fewer tourists visiting the site, sales of their artifacts have dropped. They have also cited limited marketing of curios on the Zambian side as a challenge, adding that most visitors who view the falls do not make stopovers to appreciate or buy their art. The vendors have told Diamond News that to cope with the downturn, they have been forced to reduce prices on their merchandise in order to make ends meet.
This is not a stream, but the mighty Victoria Falls. What you're seeing is the falls in its low season, which runs from August through November. On the Zambian side, the Victoria Falls is more than just a natural wonder. It is a source of livelihoods for many. When water levels rise, so too does the income of people who depend on it for survival. Right now, curio businesses are feeling the pinch, with sales declining alongside the lower water levels.
At the moment, business is going down because our business is a seasonal business. But we are happy with the new Don government. All the same tourists are coming in. The only bad part is our falls, this time is getting dry. So most of the tourists who come, most of them, they spend most of the time on the other side, Zimbabwe side.
Traders are adapting to the situation, but many call for better marketing strategies to attract visitors throughout the year.
What I can appeal to the tour operators and the hotel management is that when they are bringing their clients to the falls, they should include also the curio market, because they can bring them, then from the falls you just see the tourists going into their buses and going. We have got no time.
So they need to incorporate us also in the tourism package when it comes to marketing, because there are so many people that are coming to see the falls, and actually most of them, they don't know about our stuff, our business.
For now, these businesses will likely only see a real boost when the falls return to their peak season. Gabriel Jesas, Mova, Diamond News, Southern Zambia.
Let's now take a look at how the kwacha is performing against the United States dollar. Now, as of close of business, this is how the kwacha is faring, buying at 23 kwacha 13 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 67 ngwe against the United States dollar. These are your average commercial rates for today, the 27th of August, 2025. Coming up, we have the construction commodity prices. Now, from the construction commodity prices, for your communication purposes, especially from infrastructure, between infrastructure, you can take a look at these walkie-talkie devices here, going for 2,757 kwacha. And for a hammer drill as well, this is one of the items that you can be able to purchase if you are going to be utilizing this kind of machinery. What you need is exactly 7,038 kwacha. These are the construction commodity prices. We have more commodity prices coming up shortly, and this is for food and non-food items. Now, from the commodity prices for food and non-food items, we start off with the food items. A kg of beef going for 110 kwacha. In between 67 to 70 kwacha is 2 kg worth of sugar. 1 kg worth of sugar in between 35 to 37 kwacha. You have 2.5 kg worth of flour at 89 kwacha. You need in between 175 to 190 to get yourself a 5 kg bag of Nakonde rice. A tray of eggs in between 95 to 115 kwacha. In between 164 to 180 is 2.5 liters of cooking oil. For 5 liters of cooking oil, you need in between 260 to 300 kwacha. You equally need 130 to 150 kwacha to get yourself a 10 kg bag of breakfast millie meal. And for a 25 kg bag of breakfast millie meal, you need in between 260 to 310 kwacha. You also need in between 100 to 120 kwacha for a 10 kg bag of roller millie meal, and for a 25 kg bag worth of it in between 25 to 240 kwacha. These are the commodity prices for the food items. Let's take a read now at the non-food items and start off with toilet paper 10 rolls, 85 kwacha. In between 37 to 40 kwacha is 175 grams of toothpaste. That's for 1 tube. Multi-purpose soap for a bar in between 35 to 45 kwacha. And for washing powder, 500 grams in between 40 to 45 kwacha. Still on washing powder, 1.5 kg worth of it in between 115 to 125 kwacha. And for 3.5 kg pack of washing powder, that is, you need in between 220 to 265 kwacha. You have 1 bar of bathing soap in between 19 to 47 kwacha, and finally 750 mils of liquid hand washing soap for a bottle. You need exactly 45 kwacha. Those are the commodity prices for the food and non-food items. We'll take a break. The construction news is coming up.
Business News was brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Coming up this evening from the construction news, traditional leaders call for involvement in CDF project implementation to avoid shoddy works in rural areas. Let's get straight into the details on this story. Senior headman Simunyeo of Siamambo Ward in Choma district has raised serious concerns over the spray race constructed in the area under the Constituency Development Fund at a total cost of 350,000 kwacha, including a hand pump. The traditional leader has urged the council to expedite the rehabilitation of the spray race, which is intended to support the treatment and prevention of livestock diseases. The facility was rejected during the handover by Choma Central Member of Parliament, Cornelius Mwitwa. Mr. Mwitwa refused to hand over the project to the community, citing major construction flaws. He observed that the spray race had large gaps that could pose significant danger to animals during spraying. He insisted that the project be redone properly before it can be officially handed over.
This spray race in Siamambo Ward was set for commissioning, but the handover was postponed after Choma Central Member of Parliament Cornelius Mwitwa, who is also the Minister of Information and Media and Chief Government Spokesperson, flagged serious construction defects upon inspection. The Minister noted that the structure was not built to standard and instructed the Council to ensure that the contractor rectifies the defects before it's handed over to the community. Traditional leaders have since expressed concerns calling for their involvement in future contracts. Animals escape before even spraying is applied due to large gaps left in the structure. This makes the spray race ineffective and unusable at the moment. Between 300 and 400 cattle in this area are expected to start using this spray race. I recommend that the contractor address and fix the specific areas where the gaps exist. Once this issue is resolved, we'll be able to start using the spray race effectively. Meanwhile, several water rectification systems in Choma Central constituency have been successfully handed over by the Minister Cornelius Mwetwa, bringing much needed relief to the communities facing water challenges.
Potable drinking water, which is a very good thing. Also, we have seen a modern ablution block being done just at this particular school, so that we are using the same water for the same modern ablution block. This provides an opportunity for a village pew to also have correct sanitary facilities as opposed to using a pit latrine.
In terms of disease control, because the president, being a rancher, understands the value of disease control, and as you know, he has declared Kafue Flats a cattle zone, and that cattle zone, in terms of the beneficiation, extends to various districts, including Choma, and so that is why, using CDF, we are at the forefront in ensuring that disease control infrastructure is put in place, so that we can move with the vision of the president that as a country we begin to export beef.
Local communities have already started venturing into vegetable farming in selected areas. Helga Chibwe, Choma district in Southern Province.
Well, that's the construction news. We take a quick break, and when we get back, we have the mining news coming up, and we conclude with the mineral commodity prices.
Mining news, sponsored by First Quanta Minerals Limited, operating Kansanshi Mining PLC, and FQM Trident Limited.
Coming up this evening from the mining news, MUZ slams Zambia's poverty ranking despite mineral wealth. I'll be right back with more of the details.
As FQM, we believe in the 4 core values, which I've seen myself going through and experience along the way. We believe in being border, smarter, driven, and together. And these things have encompassed our work culture in FQM, and I've learned to apply these things even outside my work activities, because it's an opportunity that we've been given to actually be able to apply yourself. So being border is being able to approach a problem and being able to solve it with the ability to be able to think outside the box and be able to stand up and say, I believe this is a solution and this can work. And there's a lot of opportunities. Solutions don't just lie in our managers, in our superiors or senior management. Solutions come from any person who's bold enough to say, look here, I believe this can work. I believe we can change the way we do things.
Now, the Mine Workers Union of Zambia President Joseph Chewe has described as shameful Zambia's ranking as the 6th poorest country in the world, despite being richly endowed with mineral resources. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing Zambia Alternative Mining Indaba in Lusaka on Wednesday, Mr. Chewe urged government to ensure that small-scale miners meaningfully benefit from the country's mineral wealth if poverty is to be eradicated. Meanwhile, Southern Africa Resource Watch senior researcher Edward Lang has criticized current compensation efforts for communities affected by mining pollution, describing them as a scam. He has called on government to establish a clear policy framework that will compel mining firms to rehabilitate and restore affected areas.
Mining remains the backbone of Zambia's economy. In 2024, the sector proved pivotal to economic resilience despite drought and power challenges, with copper output rising by 12% to more than 820,000 metric tons. For the first half of 2025, production has already reached over 439,000 metric tons, with small-scale miners contributing close to 40,000 tons, about 9% of the total in what officials describe as inclusive growth. Mine Workers Union of Zambia President Joseph Chewe says the country's ranking as the 6th poorest nation in the world is disturbing, given its vast mineral wealth.
It will be embarrassing to see that we are among the 6th poorest nation in the world, in the midst of under the soil of all the the rights of the miners that are mine inside mine.
And while production climbs, environmental concerns linger. Edward Lange, a senior researcher at Southern Africa Resource Watch, has accused mining companies of running what he calls a scam and compensating communities affected by pollution. He has urged government to craft a policy compelling firms to restore damaged areas.
Paying attention to the restoration of the stream, just the environment generally. So this is a scam, and the government has to go back to its drawing boards. We don't have adequate framework that can respond to that, but we have to start talking to ourselves and say, what can we do? I think we can do better as a country. So my response is the entire undertaking in the pollution case is a scam.
Rachel Mumba for Diamond News.
Coming up, we take a look at the mineral commodity prices.
Mining News, sponsored by First Quanta Minerals Limited, operating Kansanshi Mining PLC, and FQM Trident Limited.
From the mineral commodity prices, we focus on 4 minerals that closed off in a positive and 2 in a negative, starting off with aluminium, which closed off in a positive with a closing price of $2,638. Copper closing off in the positive with a closing price of $9,837. Zinc closed off in a negative with a closing price of $2,813.50. And nickel closed off in a positive there with a closing price of $15,285. Lead closed off in a negative with a negative closing price of $1,988. And finally, tin closed off with a closing price of $34,198, a positive closing price there. That wraps up the mining news, and those are the mineral commodity prices. We take a break. More is coming up on the news desk.
Mining News, sponsored by First Quanta Minerals Limited, operating Kansanshi Mining PLC, and FQM Trident Limited.
Transform your office, retail, or branch space with DSTV for Business. Add top entertainment at great value with one of our DSTV work packages, the Ultra or Essential, and create a welcoming and informative setting with cutting-edge news, business, sports, lifestyle, music channels, and much more. Contact us today and let our experts guide you in selecting the perfect package. When it comes to entertainment, DSTV for Business is your ultimate partner.
All right, listen up. Colgate is on a mission.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
New Colgate Herbal with Salt combines traditional nature's herbs with a pinch of salt and Colgate Science. A natural recipe for strong teeth and healthy gums.
Welcome back. You're watching the Diamond News Desk at 8 with me, Tapio Ngoma. Special thanks to my colleague Justin Mlenga giving us what's making headlines in business. President Hakainde Hichilema has today August 27, 2025, received a delegation of 14 Chinese business leaders who expressed confidence in Zambia's leadership and investment climate. The entrepreneurs representing major companies praised the Zambian embassy in Beijing for fostering strong ties that continue to attract investors. Zambia's ambassador to China has reaffirmed commitment to bringing in more investors, while the delegation showed interest in sectors such as education, fertilizer production, mining, pharmaceuticals, industrial manufacturing, rice cultivation, fruit farming, and energy. President Hichilema said his hope is the continued engagement with that will lead to tangible, mutually beneficial business transactions. And that story brings us to the end of our news desk this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Tapu Ngoma, and as always, it's always a pleasure bringing you these stories. We do wish you a pleasant evening, and God bless.